What up? What up? What up? This is RJ Fantasy Football Talk, and we back again for another episode. We're talking running backs today, people. You already know who it is. I'm Rodney. This is JJ.
What's
What's
up?
going on, bruh?
Hey, nothing much, man. Ready to do this. We've been chatting a little bit off and on the last few days. We had some good responses to our quarterback show a couple of weeks ago.
Hmm.
Some people thought we was a little. I saw like at the very end of the show uh, that we were disrespectful of Ben Roethlisberger. I saw
ah,
so. Well, I
ah.
say this: if you didn't think we were kind enough to Ben Roethlisberger, you're gonna probably like what we have to say about the running back situation. Well,
Oh yeah.
depending on you might still be offended, but we only bring the truth. So
But I want to say something first before we get this thing started.
what's good?
Today is a big day. I want to get a special shout out, special shout out to my brother, one
Hey,
half of the R&J, Mr. J over here. Happy birthday, man.
thank you
Definitely.
much. Thank you much. Yes,
He
it's
turns 25 today, I think, man. I think he's 25. He just got the gray hairs. Don't let it fool you. I think he turned
25
25.
times, but
We ain't gonna tell his
but
real age though, but
uh,
definitely you wanna shout him out, tell him happy birthday. You know, this man is working on his birthday. I would say he the hardest working man in the business, but that's me. But we both do it together. So, but
that's
happy
good.
birthday though, man.
Well, I
Definitely.
appreciate it. Much love, much love. Appreciate it. It's been a good day. Family, my wife especially, made it nice. So it's
Good,
good
good.
to be.
You know,
Hey, it's good to get a year older. It beats the alternatives. So
hey, another year.
yes,
Hey, it's
indeed.
like fine wine. It's all good though, man. No, but we're gonna have a good show. I would say I would just take over the show and let you sit back, but you're gonna have to earn this birthday money today.
No problem,
So
no problem. I'm excited to do this because running backs are for me still the league has changed a bit where quarterbacks and wide receivers I think are becoming more elevated, but I think for a solid fantasy football team, the running back is still that core position. If you have good running backs, you typically should have a good team.
yeah.
Especially if you draft them right. So we're trying to help people out tonight, making the right choices. So,
Hey, that's what we got to do. So we're gonna get it started off. Basically, this tier is pretty much
yeah, this is
everybody
easy.
know this easy tier here. You know, so we're gonna go ahead and start it off, and we got Dalvin Cook, CMC, Christian McCaffrey. People that don't know that,
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, and Saquon
Oh,
in this tier,
and Alvin Kamara
and
also.
Alvin Kamara
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
tier. Um, Out of this group, you can go anyway. But me, it's one guy in this group I've been really sleeping on the last 2 years, and I have lost a lot of games messing around with this guy. So it's Derrick Henry. I have told myself this year I'm not gonna sleep on Derrick Henry.
Right.
This year I say I'm going to respect Derrick Henry this year, and I'm gonna give him his just due. I mean, the man went for 1,500 yards the year before last and with 2 grand last year. So I think this year he's gonna do in between that, more like 18, between
Right.
1,800 this year, with the addition of Julio. So I think that's he. And look, you can't discount Dalvin Cook, but I just out of this group, I think Derrick Henry for me is the best out of this group. And I could be crazy, but I'm not discounting that
You
man
are
no more.
crazy, but it's all right. I love you still. We've had this discussion about Derrick Henry, and I think because most we play in PPR leagues where Derrick Henry is always a little bit lower on those tiers because he's not a receiver, but he is a heck of a running back. In fact, he's led the lead in rushing the past 2 years, hit that 2,000 yard mark. But I'm going to continue my disrespect. I still think he's a tier one
Mm,
guy,
mm,
and
mm,
he's
mm, mm.
probably in my top, I would say, three or four of running backs for this year. However, I've been doing the research on 2,000 yard running backs, and there's a very precipitous drop off. You thinking like 17, 18. I'm thinking he's going to be closer to 13, 14 this year. I think he falls off a lot because hey, like I said, he led the league in rushing the past 2 years, and last year he was over 2,000. As unlikely as it seems, I'm almost certain Derrick Henry is still human. He doesn't look like it a lot of the times when he's running the way he just smashes cornerbacks out the way. But I just have to believe at some point that has to have a wear and tear on your body. So, like I said, I'm still not going to sleep on him totally, but there's a few guys. My guy I told you on this list is Dalvin Cook. I think this is going to be set up to be his year. He can definitely lead the league in rushing, but I don't think he has to because he's so involved in the passing game that I think combined yards, he's going to be what we've seen for the guy who's probably on a lot of people's lists, and he's usually been on people's lists, is C-Mac, like you said, CMC.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook puts up those kinds of numbers this year. I love CMC. I love Saquon Barkley, but between we talk the two of them, the injuries kind of would. They scared me off from both of them. I wouldn't avoid them if I was in the top 5. I'd still pick both of them in the top 5, but I'm looking at Dalvin Cook first before I go to either one of them.
Well, you can't. Well, with CMC has been hurt the last couple of years, but you still, at the end of the day, when he was healthy, when he was healthy last year, he was the number 1 running back.
It won't long, but
it won't long. But oh man, like I tell you, when he was healthy, he was the number 1 back, and he was the man. So you can't go wrong with drafting him at number 1 this year. Nobody's gonna be mad at you for that. Yeah. I mean, I done seen a lot of guys like. I mean, the things I follow on like YouTube, and Instagram, and they having these like mock drafts and all that stuff. They got CMC going 1, so I ain't mad. I mean, but
I'm with you. I can't get mad at it. I'm probably a little hesitant to do it. Now at the 2 spot, I am going to be looking at CMC. Dalvin Cook first, but if I don't have Dalvin Cook, I'm going next with Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, man. They say Derrick Henry been working on catching out the backfield and all. I mean, just think about him adding that to his game. And big as he is, and they can't go 8 in the box with Julio there. I mean,
and I'm about to say since we're talking Tennessee and what they're gonna do, how do you think that Julio Jones being there affected? Do you think that helps Derrick anymore? Or
I mean, you can't stock 8. Think about this. You can't double team AJ. You can't double team Julio. You can't stick 8 in the box. I mean, the thing is, man, you gotta think about both of those receivers at the same time. You gotta think about him. He is going, man. Come on, man. He going. I ain't saying 2,000, but I'm saying about 1,800 yards. The last 2 years, he had 15 touchdowns and 17 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's
that's crazy.
I mean, is there a better goal line option than Derrick? Just the way he runs through people is like, why aren't you giving him the ball at the goal line? So I feel you. I'm
not taking nothing away from this guy. I'm sorry, man. I can't do it. My biggest question mark out of this group is Saquon. When healthy, Saquon is really good, but he got to stay healthy. So he had 2 really bad injuries, and that kind of made. But at the end of the day, I think he falls a little bit, like I was telling you earlier. I think he falls, and I think whoever gets him late is they're gonna benefit from getting him because of the fact that you're getting them late, but you're getting a starting running back that can get you 1,000 yards and 500-600 yards receiving. So definitely you getting a monster back there. So definitely good pick between those 5. That's a good tier 1.
I'm not mad with any of these guys. There's health issues like we said with Saquon and Christian McCaffrey, but I'm willing to take that chance with any of these guys. I'm not mad at any of those guys. It's your first pick. So
me too.
What about let's talk about the second tier of guys. That is Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott, who's normally in that first tier. We dropped him a little bit lower. Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones was my guy from last year, and Austin Eckler. So that's Chubbs, Elliott, Taylor, Jones, Eckler. Which one of those guys did you have as your potential to be a tier 1 guy? Who do we sleep on too much?
I'm looking at Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, he missed 8 games last year. He got hurt first game of the season. But when he came back, especially in PPR leagues, oh my gosh, he was amazing when he came back.
Yeah.
If with Justin Herbert and all those guys they get out there in LA, I think he gonna do good, man. I'm telling you, I just think Out of this group, I think it's him, and then I think Ezekiel Elliott got a lot to prove
Right.
because he got to come back and look like the old Zeke that was there before. So if I'm going any two out of this group, I'm going Eckler and I'm going Elliott. Jonathan Taylor gonna do numbers. I think Jonathan
Jonathan
Taylor.
Teller intrigues me a lot.
Yeah,
We talked earlier about the fact that he was the only one of those. There was a lot of hype around a bunch of rookie running backs last year. Jonathan Taylor is the only one of them that went over 1,000 yards. And with that
yeah.
offensive line that they've got in Indianapolis, I don't see why he wouldn't do more this year, except for the fact technically Marlon Mack is coming back. I don't know how much that
Uh,
really. To me, I'm like, okay, Marlon Mack, you just lost that job. But I'm undecided, I guess, on how much, because there's also another guy that we're going to talk about later, Liam Hines, who does a lot of the catching out of the
yeah.
backfield. He's a good third down option for the Colts. I still think the strength of the offensive line makes Jonathan Taylor easy pick. He is my potential guy to be a number one tier guy. So he's high on my radar. I'm not that big on Ezekiel Elliott, only because last year kind of scared me in as much as I thought he was gonna pick up uh, in the absence of Dak Prescott. And I guess because Andy Dalton's so terrible that it made it
Well, that's
difficult for him.
yeah.
So if Dak is there, I guess that you should see an improvement. But I'm not too running backs fall off that cliff faster than any other position, and so I'm not 100% certain we're gonna see that same Ezekiel Elliott. But another guy I'm really excited about, and I was excited about him last year, is Aaron Jones. The quarterback situation there
Oh yeah.
is
It's kind of messy.
it's,
Kind of messy. Yeah.
but I think there could be the potential for Aaron Jones to actually be better,
Yeah.
not because the offense is better, but just because if Jordan Love is for some reason the starting quarterback, which to me would be bonkers, they're gonna have to rely on the running game a lot more than they have in the past. Now, but whether it's Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon that benefits from that, or maybe it's a split. I still like Aaron Jones as a running back, so I think he's one of those tier 2 guys that has the potential to be tier 1.
Well, that situation will remind me of something in Cleveland.
Right.
How like
Yes.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, which we'll talk about later. They share the load just a little bit,
Yeah.
and I can see that. I just think I like Aaron Jones, but I mean I remember last year you had him
Yeah. He
tier
was he
one.
was right after Christian McCaffrey
Yeah,
and Saquon Barkley. I had Aaron Jones. He
yeah.
was
So
my tier 1
you had
guy.
him
Yeah.
high, but he's still good though. Definitely, he's still good.
Yeah.
Um, I would take him as a tier two any day of the week,
Yeah.
and he's a possible that now if they run with Jordan Love, he gonna get a lot of touches,
Yeah.
and that could
Exactly.
move him to tier one with those touches. Like just AJ probably take a little goal line carries
Yeah.
from him, but I mean other than that, I think he gonna get the majority of the carries anyway.
Between the
But
20s, no doubt,
oh
it's
yeah,
gonna be Aaron
definitely.
Jones. Right.
Now goal line 20 to goal line,
Yeah.
that's the AJ all day long. But I mean my least favorite out of this group is Nick Chubb. And that's as you would say I'm hating,
The
but
hate the hate comes
I
out
am not
early.
hating.
Right.
I put him in the same situation
Yeah.
like what you were saying earlier, how Henry doesn't catch out of the backfield. Nick Chubb can, but he doesn't. And that's why they got
Right.
Kareem Hunt there for that reason to do the third down. Pretty much, he's a third down
Yeah,
back for
he
them.
is. I get it.
And I just can't. I mean, if he's not running for 100 yards, couple touchdowns, he's no good to you.
Yeah.
100 yards don't mean
You
nothing in
need
most leagues.
you are gonna need the touchdowns to make Nick Chubb worthy of that high pick. I give you
Yeah.
that much.
So it's just I don't know, man. It's that he's a little, but I feel like he does belong in this list because he's a really good running back. But I just think out of this group, he would be the last one I pick out of this group. So
I get. I will give you this. I won't say you're completely in hate because of all the guys on this list. Um, Nick Chubb is gonna be picked. Not at the. He's not last on the list for me. I'm still very skeptical of Ezekiel Elliott. And Ezekiel Elliott, I know, is a guy who's usually in our tier one rankings, like I said
Yeah,
before. And I still see him in a lot of people's tier ones. I'm just not a believer. So we'll see. I could be wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong. Plus,
yeah.
I'd say you hate on the Browns. I hate on the Cowboys all the time. So that's part of my logic behind it. So I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm a hater.
Hey,
I had Ezekiel Elliott last year though, and it wasn't great. So
yeah, it
so
was.
and you know me, I get burned by a guy and
Oh
he's
boy,
dead to me. So
let me tell y'all something about
Ezekiel
him.
Elliott has a long way to go to get my respect back. So,
We've been playing fantasy what about 10 years now together, close to 10
yep,
years. This guy has been like whoever burns him,
you're
he don't
dead.
pick him no more. They're dead to him. Like
You might
they
as
can
well
be the
not
last.
exist.
Look,
So,
they can be the last guy on the board. He might need that position. He gonna look right past him and go somewhere else. I have seen him do it multiple times.
yeah,
So
you gotta
Zeke burned
earn
him
your way
so
back,
bad.
is what I'm saying. You gotta
Zeke has burned him
Zeke ruined my
so many
life
times.
last year, so no.
So yeah,
So,
I understand. I mean, look, I get it. I have people that burn me. CMC burnt me. I think I had CMC one time, and that's the year he got hurt.
yeah, but CMC has burnt me as well, but it's different if you burn me because you got injured, because that's something is unavoidable. If you play the whole year and you suck, then it's like no,
Okay, I mean that's
done.
fine. I give you that. I will. I
So
mean, because he did burn you, and he did definitely. He didn't play well last year, and
play
like you said,
horrible.
I thought he would like in the pro. Going back to what you were saying, you thought he would do better. When Dak was out, but you couldn't expect him to do better because of the
Yeah,
fact that Andy Dalton was
it's
so
awful.
bad. You throwing eight in the box, and you know they running the ball, so it's like you're gonna make Andy Dalton beat you. So
And
I get the game plan, yeah.
and what scares me is Andy Dalton is now in Chicago,
Chicago.
and he's gonna ruin one of my tier three guys.
Oh my
I'm
god.
afraid. So, you want to hit tier three?
Yeah, we'll go ahead to tier three. We got Josh Jacobs, we got J.K. Dobbins, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, one of your guys, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Chris Carson, Antonio Gibson, Najee Harris, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Chase Edmonds.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a
out of
lot.
this, it's a lot. It's a lot, but out of this
Yeah.
group, um, the one I think stands out the most, and it may shock you.
Uh-huh.
Um, I like Antonio Gibson.
Not shocked. I love Antonio Gibson.
I love Antonio
He
Gibson.
was on one of my squads last year, and I am a big fan. And I'm with Ryan Fitzpatrick back there. I'm expecting even more because Antonio Gibson, like a guy, we love guys to catch out the backfield, and Antonio Gibson is capable of doing that. So I'm not mad at it. I'm a Raider, so Josh Jacobs is my guy on this list.
I,
They
look,
they picked up Kenyon Drake, but I still think Josh
yeah,
Jacobs is the guy. I'm not really afraid, but a guy I really like on this list that I know you don't much care for, J.K. Dobbins.
no,
I
I don't.
you're a hater on him, but that's cool. And I get your point is because Lamar Jackson is pretty much always the best running back
On
on
the
the
team,
Ravens team.
yeah,
But we saw J.K. Dobbins come on late last year, and we've seen Lamar Jackson run for 1,000 yards and still have a running back hit 1,000 yards. So I think they're gonna hit that thousand with Lamar and J.K. Dobbins this year.
I just don't see it. I feel like Lamar, he's gonna do 1,000. He just
He
that's what he
can't do
does.
less, right? Because he
He
can't
does
throw
a
for three.
thousand.
He's not throwing for 3,000,
So
so
he's
he's
gonna
got
do a
to.
1,000 yards
Yeah,
rushing. I mean, he just
exactly.
takes away from the running back position for me.
Yeah,
And J.K. Dobbins can be a great running back. They just got to allow him to be a great running back because of the fact that they got to give him the ball 20 times.
yeah,
They're not giving him the ball 20 times with Lamar Jackson back there because they have designed run plays for Lamar
yeah. They
Jackson.
do. They do.
So, and that's part of the problem for me. That's I can't. I mean, I can't. If I'm going a mid-round pick for J.K. Dobbins, I'm not feeling comfortable with that. And I know that Lamar Jackson is still going to be running the ball like that. Lamar Jackson he gets 15 carries a game
Yeah,
just from the quarterback position. I'm like, it's no, It's not good for me. No, I know.
I agree
Can't do
with you.
it.
What? Here's a guy that's often overlooked. We have him in our tier 3. He's probably capable of more. Chris Carson. And I know this
Yes.
is also going to get to your hate because he is in
No,
the
no,
NFC West. So,
actually, no.
no,
I'm
you
not
don't
gonna
mind
hate
him
Chris.
being there. Okay.
No, because the thing, I had Chris Carson a couple leagues last year, and the only thing he's been a regular with 1,200 yards
Yeah,
every year.
every
The
year.
problem is he can't stay healthy.
No.
He has a problem with staying healthy, and I think he played. I think he stayed healthy maybe 1 or 2 years
Yeah.
over the last like 3 or 4 years, but I don't think he's been healthy recently. Like he was hurt last year.
Yeah.
He was hurt, but he still had about 900 yards last year. So at the end of the day, I think if he stays healthy, because that's a run first team. I don't care what nobody
Yeah.
say. If you look at the last 6 games from last year, they ran the ball more than they passed the ball. So Chris Carson would always going to be a big part of that offense. So I have nothing against him. I think he's a good running back, as long as he's healthy. He can
Right.
get you 1,200 yards. We talked about this earlier. The new norm in the NFL is not 1,000 yards. It's 1,200 yards. Anybody can get 1,000 yards rushing, and you kind of
Yeah.
look frowned upon if you don't get 1,000 yards. So I think he can do it. Now, the one guy I don't like on this list is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon,
Burnt
it's
me.
Joe Mixon is the
Right.
type of guy. He starts very
Yeah.
slow. Like he'll go. I remember last year we was talking, and he was like, "Man, I got Joe Mixon by week 9. He should be ready to go because
Yeah,
that's when
remember,
he kick it."
for those that what I was big. We talked about how big I was on Aaron Jones. Not quite to the same level, but I was pretty big on Joe Mixon, and it was based off the year before. The second half of the season, he came on like gangbusters, and it's like
Yeah.
they had a rookie quarterback, so they're gonna start off the year heavy on Joe Mixon. Now Joe Mixon got hurt last year. He only what did he play like 6 games or something like that? I
Yeah.
can't remember. He didn't play a lot.
No.
So it burned me again. So, but it was an injury, so I'm gonna sort of give him a pass. But he wasn't great in the games that he played either.
No.
So Joe Mixon is one of those guys. I'm with you. He's in this tier 3 category more so because of, hey, where's Giovanni Bernard now? Not in Cincinnati. So I think from volume he should be a good guy to have. But yeah, you got to take that thing with Joe Mixon where he is known for being useless in the first half of the year.
Oh yeah,
So
man, them first 8 games, you might as well put it as a dud because he ain't gonna get you nothing.
yeah,
Second half, I don't know what it is. It's like he kick it in another gear in the second half when you
yeah.
should do it in the first half of the year. And what am I missing there? Am I missing something? This
I
guy?
don't think you're missing anything. But I will say, and what makes it a little interesting, I guess you would say, or maybe not uninteresting for Joe Mixon. We know that offensive line isn't great, and they
Yeah.
passed on a chance to improve their offensive line to get a wide
To get
receiver.
receiver.
And so you got to
Yeah.
start to think,
Yeah,
Joe Mixon ain't looking that great to me. When we talked about it for a second, I didn't even have him in tier 3 because of those reasons. I was like, I don't think it's going to get better.
I mean, but I will say
but,
this: the
yeah.
reason he's here, volume.
Yeah,
It's a volume. Like if you think
that's
about
how
it,
he
it's a
ended there.
volume
You're right.
pick. So I mean, a lot of guys on this list really is more about volume, honestly. Um, except for me, except like J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is going to start,
Yeah,
but I guess some of that value is going to be taken away. But like Cam Akers is going to get the value.
he's definitely, and we saw him come on at the end of last year,
Exactly. Yeah.
and he's a guy a lot of people were excited on, and I guess they were frustrated because they never got to see it until the very end. But what did he get out of that 200-yard game in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So as long as he gets that volume again, and I think the Rams offense is going to be greatly improved just by the fact that Matthew Stafford being there. So I'm big on Cam. Cam Akers is going to be on my radar this year.
So what's your
So
take on two guys I want to talk about? Najee Harris and Chase Edmonds. So I'm gonna let you start. Either one you want to go first. What's your take on those guys?
I'm gonna start with the guy that we've seen, Chase Edmonds, because remember last year with him and King and Drake, I had Chase Edmonds in a couple leagues, and I was really big, and I'm glad he's going to have the opportunity to shine. And they brought in James Conner, but okay, who cares? So I'm really not that threatened by James Conner being there. So I'm big on Chase Edmonds because we've talked about this with pretty much a lot of the top tier guys. He catches out of the backfield. Chase Edmonds is a dual threat he can run and catch, and his numbers, I can't remember the exact numbers, but they were very close between his receiving yards and his rushing yards. Kenyon Drake was more of the featured back, and so we're gonna see how Chase Edmonds does stepping up into that role. But I'm excited for him, and I'm excited about Najee Harris.
We talked
about disrespect for the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger perhaps last year. Not last year, last week. I don't think we did. But Najee Harris is a guy I'm big on this year. They tried their best to get a running game going last year. They couldn't do it with James Conner. Bobby Snell's more of a receiving kind of running back. Najee Harris is going to be a problem. And their offensive line isn't great with the Steelers either. But I think he's going to be able to do a lot of work in spite of that fact. And he's going to get that volume. With James Conner out the door, I think not Najee Harris. To me, he's the only rookie running back that has a chance at 1,000 yards this year. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but I think he's going to be very close to it if he doesn't.
I think he steps right in.
Yeah.
And he goes to work from day one. Yeah. Najee Harris, I'm talking about. He's just gonna get that work. I mean, he gonna get because Pittsburgh is a running first football team, no matter what you say. And they tried to do the pass thing first last year, and it didn't really work out. No. Well, it did. I take that back because they started 11-0, and then they kind of
it didn't end well.
It didn't end well. Right. So, but they are a run first team, and it's really that's what they were missing last year. They were missing
big time
that running game. And they needed that running game. James Conner was not the answer last year. For one, he couldn't stay on the field. So that's part of the problem. But when he did get there, he was slow to hitting the holes and all that stuff. So I think Najee Harris, he steps right in to perfect situation. And I remember
he could
draft
not have
night.
Landed on a better team.
Draft night, we was on the phone draft night, and I tell you, he was like, "What do you think you're going? Where they going right now?" I said, "They're going Najee Harris. They need a running back. I mean, hands down." Man, they went Najee Harris. I'm telling you, he's going to step in. And he could – now, I will say this. Out of this tier here, he could possibly slide. He could possibly go up.
Yeah, I would not – I've seen Najee Harris in some people's rankings as a top 10 running back. I'm not that convinced, but the potential is there.
Well, they had Clyde Edwards the same way last year.
And that was stupid. I wrote a whole blog post about it. Go back, check RJ Fantasy Football Talk. I was like, the excitement over Clyde Edwards-Helaire is unwarranted and completely misplaced. I didn't get it last year, and you don't see him that high on people's list this year because reality set in. That's not who this guy's. Now, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Don't get me wrong. I would draft him as my second running back if I had to. But we've seen Kansas City's offense. that ain't their thing.
So. No, it ain't. And I think he had one good game last year where he just kind of went off. But other than that, they're not a running football team. They're not a running team.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what I am interested in the fact that they did not bring back Le'Veon Bell, at least to this point, unless they're going to sign him later in the offseason. I don't think so. And the guy Damian Williams, who sat out last year.
Well, he ended up going somewhere else too.
He sat out last year because of the COVID. He didn't, but they did not bring him. I thought they were going to bring him back in after his Super Bowl performance the year before. They let him go, and so unless you think Daryl, and I asked you this when we're trying to make these rankings, what you thought of Daryl Williams, and I think we both was like no. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm more excited about him this year than last year. I say that much because there's no competition.
Well, the thing is, they drafted him as a first round pick.
Yeah, he was a first round pick.
Late first round. So they invested a high pick in him. They want to see what they got. He showed flashes of actually
Yeah,
being good last
he's
year. So
definitely, I think, good. No problem. No, I mean, Patrick Mahomes specifically said, "Hey, y'all need to draft this guy," and they did it
yeah,
because they know he fits well with their offense. But if you're looking for a guy to like, when I draft they had him in some places as the number one overall running back last year. Which to me, you're not that guy unless you are expected to lead the league in rushing. And I was like, that's not even a realistic expectation for Clyde Edwards-Helaire
no.
unless you thought he was going to be like the Austin Eckler of Kansas City, but I didn't see that either. So
Well, he could be the Austin Eckler. They just got to
no, we can't.
use him in that way, which they're not
Exactly,
going to use
and
him
that's
in that
the
way. So
talent they have and that was my point. Like with
yeah,
Travis Kelsey there, Tyreek Hill there, and let's not
nah.
even sleep on the other guys they have on that squad. Like at best, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be the third option,
Well, he
and
might
maybe
be the
not even
fourth.
then.
He might be the fourth option this year,
He
but
might
behind Hartman.
exactly.
So
So
Hartman stepping in this year, so
yeah,
he might. He definitely.
McColl is nice.
Yeah. So he gonna be the fourth option, and that's coming from. I mean,
Yeah,
it ain't bad from that spot, but I mean, I just think we'll see
yeah.
with those guys. I think Najee Harris probably gonna have a better year than him. Najee
I
Harris is gonna
would
get that
be
work.
surprised if he didn't have a
Yeah.
better year. I'm
So
with you there.
I'm
But
I'm high
all
on
these
Najee Harris
guys
though.
we talked earlier, these we didn't mention Miles Sanders. So if my father's watching, we have to at least say something about Miles
Okay.
Sanders. He has no competition. There you go.
No,
That's
he has no
yeah. He has
competition in
no
back there,
competition.
and I'm trying to think like I can't rename. I guess they drafted a receiver this year.
Yeah.
Does that help him open up, get them from 8 in the box? Because you remember
Yeah.
last year they didn't have any receivers, so they pretty much keyed on Miles
Well,
Sanders.
they had receivers.
Like
Hey,
stop it.
I mean, Jalen Rieger was hurt most of the
All
first
right
half of the
then.
year, and Trav Fulgham he had some good games. So, but yeah,
Three, maybe
but
four.
wide
Yeah,
receiver isn't their strength.
yeah, the strength, but
It's not
we'll
their
see.
strength. But I think the best thing you can say about Miles Sanders, like unless you believe Boston Scott, little what is it? They call it like little Darren Sproles, which is
Extra small
extra.
Darren Sproles because he's way smaller than Darren Sproles.
Exactly.
Gee,
So Miles Sanders is going to get work, and that's the one thing you could. We're talking right here about your second running back at this point when you get to tier 3. If Miles Sanders is your second running back, I think you're
that
pretty
ain't
good.
bad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
that
bad
ain't
at all.
bad at all.
We'll see how it goes with Jalen Hurts being the starter all year, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
But hold up, could that be a situation to where he takes a lot of those carries away from him?
Mm, good, maybe, maybe so.
Saying he likes to run the
He
ball,
does. He
so
does. So
I'm just saying. Well, we can go ahead. You want to go ahead and go to tier 4?
let's keep it rolling. Is this me?
Yes, you.
All right, tier 4. We've got Miles Gaskin, James Robinson, Travis Etienne, Kareem Hunt, Mike Davis. Your guy Raheem Mustard makes our list. Another
Mm-hmm.
rookie from last year is DeAndre Swift. We have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, who is a hard one to decide between if you're watching the Bucks. We have Devin Singletary, Melvin Gordon, and ending the list, Damian Harris. So another very crowded tier. The thing I would probably say most about this tier when you get to tier 4, there's not a lot separating most of these guys. There's a few names in tier 4 that's kind of intriguing to me for different reasons. But at this point in the draft, you've gotten your first running back. You probably have your second one as
Second running
well.
back. Yeah.
So at tier 4, we're looking at your third guy. This is your backup to your backup. Unless I mean,
Yeah.
you run it to, depending on how many, and if you have a flex spot, you might use this guy as a starter, but this isn't going to be a reliable starter. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
the guy who I'm surprised is on this list is James Robinson. And not because I know why we have him here, but based off last year, I honestly thought at the end of last year, James Robinson was going to be high. He was like no lower than tier 2 on my running back list at the end of last season. Then draft
Yeah.
night happened, and I'm like,
And they went Etienne. But I
I don't
mean
understand it.
that
But
that
yeah,
I didn't see that coming.
yeah,
I really didn't see that coming. But I'm very high on Travis. I like Travis. What he did in college
I guess
was amazing.
I guess
I
what
mean,
what makes him interesting, I guess, and I'm not 100% sold on this, but I'm gonna try to follow Urban Meyer's logic. They're gonna
okay.
use him as a wide receiver. Like they say, he's spending the whole camp as a wide receiver. So maybe James Robinson's not affected, and you can still go with Travis and Tenney. You know me and Urban Meyer. I'm not a
Yeah,
believer.
yeah.
I think
You're not a fan. I
he's
get
gonna
it.
sink that whole team, in my opinion. So I'm largely avoiding anyone in Jacksonville. But I guess if you follow that logic and say, okay, treat Travis as a wide receiver, then maybe you like James Robinson and we have him too low, and we potentially have Travis too low as well because he's a wide receiver and not a running back. I don't see it that way. What
I,
What do you think?
I it's kind of a messy situation
Yeah,
in a sense. But Travis Etienne in college, he had 1,600 yards 2 years in a row, 15 plus touchdowns each year. Coming out of the draft, I thought he was better than Najee Harris.
yeah,
For me, if you're looking at stats from the year previously in college, but I just don't know with this situation. James Robinson was not supposed to start last year. He
right.
was not supposed to be the starter
He came
last
out of
year.
nowhere last year.
Came out of nowhere. He was the third running back on that team because they got rid of Le'Veon. I mean, they got rid of
They
Fournette,
got rid of Leonard Fournette, right?
Leonard Fournette, and then the other guy ended up getting hurt in front of him. So he ended up being the starter. So I get it. I don't understand that pick. And I think it was more of he trying to make it a college feel. He's trying to make it more of the feeling of being in college in Jacksonville. I don't think that's gonna work. I still like Etienne. I think he's gonna if he's running receiver and being a running back, it's the extra from that receiving
Right.
portion of it. He'll get you some points. But going into the season, I think you got to start James Robinson just because of the fact that he's the experienced guy. He did do 1,000 yards last year. He showed you that he can do 1,000 yards. I don't know, but the one guy on this list that I really, really think I
Right.
like the most, obviously, is Raheem Mustard. It,
Homer.
but really, my guy was good until he got
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah, yeah. I'm not
Um,
mad at that.
but I think it's Mike Davis.
Okay.
Mike Davis is very intriguing to me because of the fact that he gets the opportunity um, to start and be the
Uh
main guy. And I'm thinking like if he catches out of the backfield, he runs really well. I think he can do numbers, man. I'm
Mike Davis intrigues me because we saw him get his Christian McCaffrey on last year as a full time starter with the Panthers, and I think he can fill in that similar role with the Falcons. I'm not as excited about that offensive line as I would be because we saw how terrible they were for Matt Ryan last year, which kind of
yeah.
scares me. But like you said, he catches out the backfield. He's gonna be the solid starting running back. So I like if you get Mike Davis at this point as your potentially third running back. I mean,
That ain't bad. I'm
that's
telling you.
beautiful. That's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing. We got a question though. Trey S. Joining us. Thanks for being part of the show.
being part of the
You
show.
you've been with us a while,
Yeah.
all last year. So he has a question for you. Cam Akers, is he gonna blow up like people are expecting this year, or is Darrell Henderson gonna crush everyone drafting Akers in the first 2 rounds? Thanks for the question. I don't know if you were there. We put up our list, and we actually had Cam Akers in our tier 3 running back list. So I don't think either one of us thinks he's probably worthy of the high position he's getting in a lot of people's drafts. I said last year that I think people were expecting too much from Cam Akers, and you
Yeah.
had their coach telling you he was not going to have a featured running back. He said last year he's going to give all 3 guys equal chance, and they're going to all have their time starting. And true to his word, that's what we saw last year. I
That is
think people
true.
are excited. We spoke earlier about the 200-yard game that Cam Akers had last year, and I think that's the last thing people remember. And they're expecting Cam Akers to blow up this year. And I honestly think some of it's warranted because I think Cam Akers is definitely the best guy there. But last year I told people I was actually kind of big on Henderson, not to be a stud guy, but Henderson hasn't been in the league that long himself, and I think people playing fantasy football have given up on Darrell Henderson. I don't think McDermott has, and I don't think the Rams have. So I think Cam Akers is I wouldn't at the back of the second round. I think I would go for a Cam Akers for my running back, but he's not a guy I'm looking at to be my lead guy. If there's a rookie, I said from last year, I'm interested in, it's Jonathan Taylor 1 and J.K.
Mm-hmm.
Dobbins 2. Cam Akers is back there, and I'm interested, but I think the excitement over him is a tad bit overblown.
I feel like my question is, are they running a quarterback? I mean, a running back committee like they did
Right.
last year, which would scare me if that's the
Yeah.
case. I wouldn't second round, first 2 rounds. I feel like it's other running backs that you can get before him.
Yeah.
Honestly, that and then but if you get them past that second round, then I can feel more comfortable with that.
Third round and beyond, then it's a money pick.
Yes,
First
money
round
pick
is crazy. Back of the second round, I think is reasonable, but like you said, I think there's some guys that have to be off the board before I go to Cam Akers.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, I gotta see it first before I believe.
I think they're gonna run a committee again.
Yeah, I
sort
think
of.
So.
Because of the way they run their offense, and he probably would come out and say it again that all my running backs gonna play this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, he just, and like you say, people had that last game in their mind.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's what they're
he was
going
impressive.
off of.
Don't get me wrong. He was really
I mean,
impressive.
I give him that, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you can't trust Sean McVay. Sean McVay.
Yeah, I said McDermott. I'm in another team.
Yeah, Sean McVay. He runs it a little bit different. He runs a running back committee, so everybody's gonna touch the ball at least 10 times a game. I wouldn't risk that high of a pick on him. I would go other options. I mean, you got Josh Jacobs, you got Montgomery, you got players that you can go way ahead of him. Like, that's just me personally. So that's my take on it. Good question though, definitely.
Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. All right. Who else is another guy? So since we were talking, we talked Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. Now we went back to Cam Akers. Another guy on this list is DeAndre Swift from last year.
Don't do it. Don't do it, people. Don't do it.
Don't do it to yourself.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Do not do it. I'm telling you. I've been hearing bad news, and they saying him splitting carries.
Yeah.
I mean, he been splitting carries since he came in the league. He split carries with Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson, man. Come on, man.
That's the part that scares me. I was like, hold up. This young dude couldn't get the ball consistently from Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson, man. Come on. No knock on Adrian Peterson. He's one of the greats. But
I'm
at this
knocking
point,
on Adrian Peterson because
at this point in his career,
no,
you should be able to beat him out, man.
Right.
I mean, come on now. The Washington football team cut him for Gibson. So if you couldn't beat him out, I'm not touching him, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not touching him at all, man. I'm trying to tell you, he is not in my radar. It's just, he's a good running back. They just won't give him the ball. I just don't get it.
Do you think the change at quarterback and head coach helps him out any?
No.
Because we might. Okay.
No. Not even a little bit. I mean, who else? Honestly, they don't have any other skill position player outside of T.J. Hockenson.
Not a lot of talent on that team. I give you that.
No talent on that team. They should get him the ball 25 times a game, but they're not going to do it.
Picking up Jamal Williams, I think, is not good because Jamal Williams can play. He got carries from Aaron Jones, and so you put him with DeAndre Swift, it makes me not too excited. Like, back of the draft, I know he's not going to fall low enough. Uh, Maybe I'm interested in the DeAndre Swift if I already have two solid running backs. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not. I'm not initially going off all the tier 4 guys on this list. There's a few names I'm going with. I'm gonna try to figure out that Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones situation
good luck
before I
with
go
that.
with DeAndre Swift. Yeah,
Now I'm not saying I would go those guys in front of him, but I'm probably gonna stay away from that situation
yeah,
because you don't know who's gonna get the ball. You don't know which one gonna start that week or the week after that. I mean, and plus they're probably, if anything, they're probably fifth, sixth in the pecking order of anything
yeah.
because you got Godwin, you just got Evans, you got Antonio, you got Brown, you got Gronkowski. It's too much going on
There's
there.
a lot of hands and
A
a lot of
lot of
mouths to feed
yeah,
on that
you're
squad, man.
not. No, I'm not.
So would you
I'm
go
standing.
DeAndre Swift before those two?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if you're thinking about it, because DeAndre, if anything, John Swift is probably at worst the third guy in the pecking order.
Okay.
Because I can't think. I mean, T.J. Hawkinson, Rashad Perriman. I mean, they ain't got no real receivers out there. I mean, come on now.
Well. It starts off with the fact of Jared Goff being the quarterback, and
Yeah,
that
I mean, come on.
immediately has me uninterested.
So no, I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, Devin Singletary, they say he put on 20 pounds of muscle this year because he tired of losing his spot to Zach Moss. But we're gonna see how that work out.
Right.
Shout out to Keith on that one. Um, I just don't know, man.
All right.
Melvin Gordon.
Here's a guy on this list that I think I'm sort of intrigued by. Miles Gaskins. We saw him
Oh, I
put
love
in a
him.
lot of work last year. And unlike a lot of the other guys in this tier, Miles Gaskins doesn't have any real competition as far as
Nope.
running back. He's the guy. The question is, with Tua as the quarterback technically,
Yeah.
do you think that hurts Miles Gaskins
No, I
any?
think they're gonna rely on him a lot more, honestly,
Right,
because Tua first full year starting.
right.
Um, they gotta kind of make him feel comfortable. So they probably gonna run the
I
ball.
think they're going to be a heavy run team. I agree
They're
with
gonna
that.
run the ball. So
But the
yeah.
question is, how successfully are they going to do it, knowing with everybody knowing that that's going to be their game plan?
Well, Tua gonna have to do his part. Tua
Yeah,
gonna have to make them come out of that stack box, eight in the box, drop down safety. They gonna have to. He gonna have to make them honest.
yeah,
So if he can make them honest, Miles Gaskin's gonna have another. Actually, he was on pace for 1,000 yards. I think he
right.
ended up getting hurt a couple games. Actually, so he missed probably 3 or 4 games. But because I had him last year,
Yeah,
before then he was actually doing work. So I think going into the season, number one guy, he ain't got nobody behind him. I'm going him over DeAndre Swift. I'm going him over Kareem Hunt, which
yeah.
Kareem Hunt is on this list too. And Kareem Hunt, same thing I said earlier about the other Cleveland running back. I just don't. It's something about Nick Chubb. It's too much of a. They
Yeah.
split carries too much, man. It's too much, man.
You're not a fan of the split backfield.
I'm
I'm
not,
not.
man.
I'm with you though. I'm with you on that.
I
Uh,
mean, because you cannot draft any running back first, second, third round, and they splitting carries.
yeah,
It's like it defeats the purpose. Like they going into the season splitting carries.
yeah.
So you're getting 50% a 50% running back pretty much because that's all he getting out of the
I would say
offense.
60% for Nick Chubb, 40%,
Nick
pretty
Chubb
much.
only come in on first and second down, man. Kareem Hunt come in on third down.
Check the snaps. You gonna,
Whatever. Okay, I got you.
yeah.
Whatever.
But I feel
Uh,
it. I feel the general point you're making.
I mean, the only one left is Damian Harris, and I don't trust anybody in New England
When you play
backfield,
for New
so
England, yeah.
I don't trust it. So I'm good with that. So if you feel comfortable drafting Damian Harris, that's on you. You can take that
To me,
chance, but I'm not.
for
So
me. He's a waiver wire pickup,
all day long.
all day long.
Yeah.
I don't think we've mentioned Melvin Gordon. I think that's a potentially intriguing, but something about that Denver offense does not have me very excited this year. So
Telling you, it's that rookie they drafted, man, which
yeah,
we're gonna talk about. I think he
he's
comes
coming
in,
up.
he steals some snaps. So, we're gonna roll into tier five. We
All
got
right.
David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Zach Moss, Kenyon Drake, AJ Dillon, Trey Sherman, Najee Hines, Tony Pollard, Jamal Williams, Tevin Coleman, J.D. McKinson, James White. Out of that list, I'm trying to think who I like out of that list. Uh,
At this point, we get into the crapshoot, guys. It's like, well,
uh,
you can make a
uh,
case,
I
but
mean, you can make a case with Tevin Coleman because
no,
he
you
is
can't.
gonna
You
be the
cannot
start.
make a case for anybody that
He,
plays for the
he,
Jets.
he's the starting running back.
How
Think
many
about
years was Le'Veon Bell the starting running back? How would that go?
it. That didn't go well, but okay.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm trying to. I'm looking at the list,
right.
and I'm
I'm gonna tell
looking
you the
and I'm
guys who excite me on this list. Um, One is Philip Lindsay, only because I'm gonna say it's at least a 60% chance David Johnson gets hurt, and Philip
that's
Lindsay
true.
is potentially the starting running back. And we've seen Philip Lindsay do 1,000-yard seasons multiple times.
True.
I'm excited, and at this point, like I said, these are flex guys at best.
At best.
Aneem Hines kind of excites me for the potential, but again, this is like way at the back of the draft kind of running backs for me. Um, and for the same reason as Aneem Hines, J.D. McKissick has that same
Yes.
kind of appeal to me. That
I like.
I'm picking at this point. I'm getting this guy just for PPR. I'm getting him just because he gets receptions.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not too much unless you think that Ezekiel Elliott has fallen off the cliff, and then Tony
Nah.
Pollard becomes intriguing. But
I
that's more of
don't.
a handcuff. To me, that's a handcuff move, and
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
big on
a hand.
handcuffing running backs.
Nah, I think Trey Sherman could be a possible guy that can come out
For
of
the
this
same right,
for the same
for the
reason
same
with
reason.
Raheem Mustard. I mean, that's my guy. Anybody that know me, I'm a Niners fan, but he always get hurt. He get hurt. He get the ankle injuries,
Right.
those sorts of things. He could step in and kind of get some of those carries
Yeah.
away. So I can see him. AJ Dillon is another one. He could be a goal line. He can
Yeah.
steal carries at the goal line.
Right.
Um, Zach Moss, him and Singletary, they're gonna be fighting for carries all season.
Yeah.
Um, that's just a bad mix.
That
They
Buffalo running game does not intrigue me at all.
I mean, because the best running back on their team
Josh
named Josh
Allen.
Allen. So
Exactly.
I mean, that's another one. I mean, this list is really, to be honest with you, is
Yeah.
kind of it's kind of
This is at but after tier, I would say 4.5, not even the full tier 4. After about 4.5 of that tiers, these are
Yeah.
guys you're excited about. These are all guys that you're drafting. They're all draft worthy, but there's
Yeah.
a very good chance they're not on your team at the end of the year.
I mean, most of
yeah.
these guys. Tony Pollard's gonna be a waiver wire. Hines gonna be a waiver wire.
I know. I think you might have to draft Tony Pollard only
Think so?
because people are. There's a lot. I don't do it, and I know you're not a big fan of it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people are into handcuffing their running backs, and I think this is a
Ah,
year that you
ah.
have to handcuff Ezekiel Elliott because of how he performed last year. And hi, Anita Bracey. Thanks again for the birthday wishes. I see you. But I think Ezekiel Elliott is a guy you kind of have to handcuff this year, and so I think a lot of people are going to draft him in those late rounds. So I don't know if you'll get a chance to grab him off waiver wire. Now, if somebody drops him later, you will. But
I don't.
I don't know. I don't know if Tony Pollard is going to escape a lot of drafts,
What
depending
about
on the
Kenyon?
size of your league. That is.
What about Kenyon Drake?
Don't, you know me.
I mean, that's your boy.
That's
now.
my team now, right?
It's your boy now.
I didn't
How you-
understand the only thing that makes sense to me about picking up Kenyon Drake is so they could do you have to be of a certain age to get this, so they can make the Josh and Drake reference, for the old Nickelodeon.
I guess. I
But other
guess.
than that, I'm not in. I don't know.
So
I wasn't a big fan of Kenyon Drake last year, and quite frankly, why? Because Josh Jacobs has shown you he's a 20-25 carry guy easily. So why bring in a guy that you don't really need?
That's what John Gruden would do, man. That's what John Gruden would do, man. I mean, hey, I'm just saying, man. You know your coach, man. You know how crazy he is.
We'll see how it works.
James White, I mean,
James White is eternal. We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
Like every year you think, okay, James White is gone, but he and Bill Belichick are like this, and somehow, no matter what happens, James White is always fantasy relevant. So I actually won a championship. He wasn't my main guy, but James White was a very big contributor to one of my fantasy teams. So I don't like. I am known, if you watch the show enough, for hating any running back on the New England Patriots team, but for some reason James White just makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I can't explain it.
James White is like, he never goes away. He's
no matter what.
He holds secrets in New England. Like they won't let him go for some reason. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So hey, somebody asked us, are we gonna do play by play show this season? Good. We could. I mean, some Sunday night games, Monday night games, we might come on and do a play by play for some of y'all. Definitely. That'd be something we can think about. Last tier, man. This is tier you probably are not gonna draft these guys. You shouldn't draft these guys anyway. So it's on you, right?
Oh, it is on me. You're right. Okay. Javonte Williams, who we talked about earlier. Tariq Cohen, Michael Carter, Gus Edwards, Marlon Mack, Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison. We have Latavius Murray, James Conner, Rashad Penny, and Benny Snell. And again, these are primarily handcuffed guys. None of these are guys. I agree. I'm not really drafting any of these players, mainly because none of them are going to be a reliable week-to-week guy. And when you're talking about the draft, you want to draft guys that are going to get time on the field. Unless you're into the handcuff thing, and there's a lot of these guys that are good handcuff. Now, I will say a handcuff I'm interested in. I know last year Alexander Madison got a lot of play for. Hey, you should handcuff Dalvin Cook with Alexander. I wasn't a fan. I didn't think it made sense.
No.
Rashad Penny slightly intrigues me because of Chris Carson's
No, it don't.
But the only problem is, and we talked about this the other day, Rashad Penny has his own health problems. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna handcuff.
They both get hurt.
I need a handcuff from a handcuff at that point, and so, like you said, the thing that makes it potentially interesting is, like you said, Seattle is a run first team when they can be, and I guess that makes Rashad Penny interesting if you think he can stay healthy. In fact, I don't even know if he's healthy right now. So
he's probably not. I mean, I think if you're doing like a dynasty league with rookies, Devontae Williams is definitely a guy to take a look at. Even a Michael Carter, for real. Like
that can be interesting
for rookie aspects. You can definitely use those guys. Alexander Madison.
Well, if you're talking rookies, Javonte Williams definitely should be on your radar for that, like you said as well. You said we mentioned a lot of these guys we mentioned in their connections with earlier guys. So so sort of just wrapping up.
Madison doesn't. He had his chance to show if he was going to be good last year. He bombed on it. He didn't do too well at the time that Cook was hurt.
Yeah.
And he just didn't play well. Yeah,
what was the guy? Mike Boone ended up being
Mike Boone better than him.
The guy he was going for. I guess we talked earlier about Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. If you believe that that's going to be a split, he could be I still don't know whether I draft him or not. But he could be one of those very late round scoops that end up being good for a fill-in here or there. But
I mean, other than that, James Conner probably won't get hurt.
James Conner's going to be hurt again. Chase
Um,
Edmonds is gonna. At first, I was halfway worried, and then until I saw James Conner's name come up there, because like, is Chase Edmonds gonna get 4-time looks? And then they brought in James Conner. I was like, okay, apparently he is, because
yeah.
James Conner is no threat at all.
Well,
I don't
then
think.
because he got so long, it
Yeah,
took so long for him to get signed. We already
right,
knew that he wasn't going to be. He shouldn't be he shouldn't be a factor in that role. He shouldn't take nothing away
right.
from him. But I mean, we never know. Like Latavius Murray, we all know
Yeah,
he's he's not a handcuff, but he's a guy that you want to, if what you call it, ever gets hurt, you
yeah,
want to pick him up
quickly.
immediately for real because he plays well
Yeah.
when he goes out. So
Let me ask you about another guy on this list that we've kind of talked about before, and if you go back about 2 years, was very fantasy relevant. Tariq Cohen.
oh man. I mean the only thing that makes him fantasy relevant if you're in a league that does return points.
Right.
Like kick return, punt return, because he doesn't unless they finally want
He
to go
used to
back
be
to
he used to be really involved in their passing game. I
but
know he had the injuries last year, but
yeah,
David Montgomery is he showed last year for people, especially if during fantasy football playoffs, he can
yeah.
carry a full load. I don't know if Tariq Cohen goes back to being that kind of guy that he was a few years back.
I mean, the only thing that I can think of that'll get him on the field is the fact that he did sign a pretty
Yeah,
decent contract a couple of years ago, and they're probably gonna want to see what they can get out of him because they're paying him
yeah, they
decent
got.
money.
You're right.
So
They're gonna have to try to find a role for him.
yeah,
So,
because they
like,
gave him a nice size contract, so he definitely gonna be on the field because he's getting
yeah,
paid like uh not a backup, but like a third down running back.
yeah.
So I can see them doing that. And if your league does
Like
punt
you said,
return
return
yards,
yards,
you can't return
special
yards.
teams. He's very good
He's
for
very
that.
good
Yeah,
for that. So, but other than that, drafting him is not even an option. I mean,
no,
if
right.
yeah, I mean,
Last round, he's still on the board. No,
if you're like for us, if we play 18, 19 rounds, if he's on the board at 18, 19, yeah, you can probably just scoop in and get him because most guys
right.
you cut them anyway when you
Exactly.
really go to your final roster. So
Towards the back of the draft, like we mentioned before,
yeah,
these guys are very likely not on your board, not on your roster by the end of the year. So
no, not even.
these are dart throws. Yeah,
So hopefully, some of these guys can help you. I think the only one, like I said, is Javonte Williams. He has a good
he's
chance of
cemented,
playing.
right? Mm-hmm.
Michael Carter has a good chance of playing. Because like we said, what's his name? Tevin Coleman gets hurt,
Yeah,
so Michael Carter could come in and play, fill in that role, even though they're gonna be losing a lot, catch out the backfield. So it's possible that he could probably come in and play, but I don't see any of these guys moving up outside of them. Um,
unless there's an injury, like these aren't tier 6. These aren't the guys that's going to win you your league.
no,
You
not
already
at
did
all.
that. This is
No,
yeah. I feel you.
I mean they might be a throw in trade, and if you need a starting running back or
Right.
somebody, some just a piece to add on. But I don't see them really doing anything, that would help you out in your season. That's just my take on it. But who who am I?
Your R of the R and J.
Hey, you better believe it now. Hey, you better let them know. And once again, I want to shout out the birthday boy.
Thank you, and thanks everybody else. I see another couple of comments from my mom, especially that I see, giving me happy. Hey, she's this birthday is just as much hers as mine. She played a very big role in my birthday
Oh yeah,
and my
definitely.
birth.
So,
So,
oh
thank
yeah.
you, thanks
But
everybody.
we appreciate everybody tuning in. Definitely catch us every week. Well, we going every other week
Yeah,
now, but
until the season starts,
to the
but
season start. But definitely when the season start, we going every week, and we might do a play-by-play show. Something we can work on.
we'll see.
Um, we'll see. But definitely, that's a good idea. We appreciate y'all ideas coming in. As we do, as I say always, we here, we ain't going nowhere. So definitely, R and J
Check us
forever.
out. All right. Well,
All right.
thanks again for everybody that's joined us. You got our list. These are our running backs. And hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing this exact same thing. I don't know how we're going to get all the wide receivers on our list because there are tons of those. But it should be an interesting show because I've got a couple of wide receivers I'm really excited to talk about. And
So
maybe a couple of surprises.
are we doing a wide receiver tight end together?
Let's do
Like
them
we did
separately. I know there's so many. We'll probably end up having to separate them like we did last year. We did wide receivers, and so we'll work it out. We got 2 weeks. So
Tebow won't make that list as a tight end, though. I tell you that.
Tebow might not make the team, except for the fact Urban Meyer wants him there. But oh man, I kind of want to do tight ends first now, just so I can talk about it.
he ain't gonna make that list. He ain't making my list. I don't know about yours.
Yo, not at all.
Nah.
Not at all. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Thanks again for joining us. 2 weeks. Meet us back here. We're going to keep it going. R and J all day.
All right. All day.
Peace, y'all.